And thank you for your testimony here today. It is a very important issue. As a small business owner, I find myself in not having flexibility for people that could be salaried, to give them the opportunity to work for a mission, to get something accomplished, and then later be compensated for time which they consider valuable, to take care of their families or their needs. Many times these labor laws that we cite as protecting the worker, I would argue, many times put business owners in a difficult position because they cannot give the workers the flexibility that they need in a modern age. Mr. Eisenbree, I would like to ask you a few questions. Does salary make a person more efficient or less on the job as opposed to workers with overtime?
I don't think it really makes a difference that a worker will be as productive as his or her desire and skills.
So, but you contend here in your testimony that salaried workers are being unfairly compensated because they work more hours than if they were on some hourly wage with overtime. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, with that in view, do you think working long hours on a set salary is unfair? And if so, do you think it makes the business more effective and workers more effective, or does it make them less effective?
Well, you know, the stories that I've heard from people like Dawn Huey are that they worked 90 hours a week sometimes, and there's nothing good about that. I mean, the store was productive, but her life was ruined by it.
So nothing good about it, and you said in your testimony that government should use every tool at its disposal to help America's working class. Do you realize that every uniformed worker in the military is salaried? So their life just must be miserable. And that organization must be very inefficient because it is filled with salaried workers. Is that your contention?
It is not my contention.
Well, then why do you think that the president, who has not provided raises to our military, in fact, the numbers that you cite are really greater than what the president has provided in raises to the military when he is asking them for all kinds of missions that we send across the globe and new missions that are unfunded with the dollars that we have at hand, and yet he has even threatened that he will veto the National Defense Authorization, which calls for raise for these salaried workers. Well, if you think that the president's initiative is so good, then how do you account that he doesn't care about the salaried workers that he can control?
I don't think that that's true. I think, I don't know all of the details of the budget negotiations, but they probably involve, a compromise that one side now wants to break and have more money for defense and not more money for the enforcement of environmental regulations and health and welfare and education. I imagine that that's what's going on. And if the president had the ability to increase the budget and increase taxes to pay for it, he would give salary raises.
Well, he has that ability. In fact, when you look at the cost of free cell phones and the cost of his free internet proposal and the cost of so many other things, why, that could be put directly into the wages of privates and our seamen and airmen that are out there on the front lines. But yet he thinks that these entitlements are far more important. And what I would offer to you is that salaried worker in a company that they take pride in, such as Carl's Jr. or Hardee's, or something where they have a path to work their way up, or they enjoy it. I served 21 years in the military. I didn't get rich off of that. I moved 15 times in 21 years and raised 5 kids in uniform. That's not a way to the rich house, I can assure you. But there wasn't a time that I didn't take pride in my job. And I was a salaried worker. And as a commander, a 90-hour work week, I would have welcomed that. I would have welcomed that. And so what I offer to you is you need to take a step back and look at that the salaried workers are not out there to punish employees. They're not out there to somehow make their life draconian and exact slave labor and sweat and blood out of these workers. It's giving them opportunities to grow. And I'm sure we have illustrations and testimonies today where people started as a fry cook and ended up as franchise owners and highly successful people. And so I tend to disagree with the whole premise of your testimony today on salary workers. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back my time.